Hi, Delsue. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to Impact. I'm happy to have you this evening. Sorry
Thank
about
you.
all the technical hitches that we have had, but here you are.
No
Welcome.
problem.
So,
Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, to be able to share with our community.
great. I'm happy that I was able to get you. I know you're very busy, but I am pretty sure your story will inspire some one of those young people in your market today. So it's great to connect with them, to share our stories, so that they know they have role models that they can really look up to. Because our story, your story, is something that will inspire them to do better and to excel. I'm hoping. So Delsue, can you just tell me a little bit about your story in terms of where you are now in your development, in your career in life?
Okay. Well, currently, in my career, I'm a school behavior health professional. I started off first as a special education teacher. I taught math, algebra one for several years to students with special needs, and eventually, I was able to progress into some leadership roles, and I was also a special needs school administrator, where I assisted with the disciplinary actions for students with disabilities. And currently, I'm a school behavioral health professional where I provide mental health support for students, for staff members, and for families within the community. And I also previously taught at Florida National University as an adjunct professor and a course called Assessing Students with Special Needs for individuals who were interested in becoming special education teachers. I'm currently a doctoral candidate at Grand Canyon University. I'm working towards my doctorate in leadership, which is focused on K through 12 leadership. And as far as my regular career path, that's kind of what I do. And I also own my own consulting firm, Delsue Frankson Consulting Services, where I am a life coach and I offer just support and assistance with individuals who are transitioning either in their career field from high school to college, from college to the workforce. And I also help and support companies who service at-risk students.
Yeah.
We call them, like after-school centers or centers that open up during the holidays, during summer, during winter, usually in the holiday to support students who are at risk. And I'm just excited just to be able to give back.
Yeah.
And I don't know how far you want me to go, but you can ask the questions. I can always. I have a long journey, so
There's so
I'm
much.
also minister training at my church. So at my church, I serve on the ministerial team at St. John Missionary Baptist Church in Boynton Beach, Florida.
Wonderful. Okay, so I was just telling these people that they were in the youth group so they could join
No
us
problem.
in that group. So that's your life stories so much. How do you find time to do so many things?
Wow.
Uh,
It's amazing. It's amazing. I was sharing before, like there's so many people I admire, and one of them was Steve Jobs, and I remember him saying that we connect dots looking backwards, we don't connect dots looking forward. It's
yeah,
like when you're having fun and you enjoy what you're doing, you don't really pay attention too much. And I think that's probably why. And just growing up like in our community, watching my parents how they give back and how they were within our community and how they always supported individuals that would come to them for help. It just seems so natural to do that. And so as I grew up, my mom always say to continue to speak up for those who can't speak for themselves and help those you can. So when individuals will come towards me for help or assistance, and I would just, if I'm available, I would just make the time, and it just became a natural part of what I did. So it didn't really feel like a lot of work at the time or at times
but
because it kind of happened
it does
naturally.
work. Let's take it back. You
Yeah.
are you are teaching. You're an adjunct professor, right?
I used to be, not anymore.
Oh, you're not doing that now.
No.
So you are doing your PhD, right?
Yes, my education. Yes, my doctoral education. Yes.
And you have a full-time job.
Yeah, the mental health coach. Yes,
Yes. And then you're running your own organization, your own
yes,
consultation practice, right?
yes,
You managed to put out your own brand of shoes, right?
yes. I'm the fashion designer. Yes,
Right? You're recording music, right?
yes,
In church, you have leadership role in church, right?
yes.
What else?
Well,
What did I miss?
I, well, to God be the glory. I'm just excited.
Yeah,
When I was younger, I used to be a teen model, and I'm getting ready to go back into the fashion industry, and I'm getting ready to start that up again.
yeah,
And I just love, in order to give back, you have to give back. So all the gifts and abilities that God blessed me with, I'm just trying to like use them to earn income so I can continue to do the work that I do because it takes money to help the way you really want to help effectively. So whatever gifts and abilities God bless me with, I'm really trying to utilize the platform and the influence that He gave me in whatever areas He gave me the opportunity to make a difference so that I can be able to give back in the future because I really would like to make a difference, of course, back home in St. Elizabeth, my community, and also here in the community that I grew up in for 30 something years. Um, but it takes money to help. It really takes money to help. And for most of us who are in the educational field, we go in it to make a difference. We don't go in it to make money. So
right.
in order for me to really make money to make a difference and still continue to do what I do in the education field, I have to do extra things.
Yes,
So
for
I
sure.
just ask God for the strength to keep and the tenacity to keep going.
Yeah.
But I'm just so grateful that He's blessing, He's laying the playing field for me. And so to God be the glory. Hopefully, I'll be getting some future contracts soon because He has opened the door for me in the fashion industry where my brand Grit is being showcased worldwide right now, and the company is loving what I'm doing and is doing the advertising and the publication just to get it out there. And I'm just excited about that. And in the early 2021, they have some other opportunities for me also, some other product lines. So
So
I'm excited about that.
let's talk more about grit. What
Yeah.
inspired the name grit? Grit is your
What
brand.
inspired? Yes, because what inspired me, I always pray and I ask God for when I go to do something. I always pray and ask God guidance and blessing on it first. And even my online platform called Perseverance University is the extension of my life coaching firm. It's based on being able to persevere no matter what. So with grit, in order to have grit, you have to be strong, you have to be courageous, and you have to be able to be confident in the choices you're making, the decisions you're making, the things you choose to do in life. And it takes grit to walk in your divine purpose because there's going to be times where people are going to question you and ask you, do you know what you're doing? How much school is going to be enough? Because I've had that question posed on me several times, and I have had over 12 years plus of college, and people say to me, how much school is enough? Well, based on what I know that God is calling me to do, it takes this amount of education.
Right.
So you just can't just walk out there in the world and say, I'm doing this and I'm going to be this and I'm going to do that. You have to prepare yourself. You
Uh-huh.
have to prepare yourself. God will help you, but you also have to, God help those who help themselves, an advisor taught me in college. So we could always say, we want to be this, we want to be that. But if you don't prepare yourself to be at that level, then you can't be effective.
Right.
So it takes grit to be able to stand in your own two shoes and stay focused on your own personal goals
Yes.
because people will try to detour you. You know that. People will try to stop you and say, hey, what are you doing?
I
You're doing too much.
somewhere that you were saying that being someone who was teaching all day long, your feet were tired.
Yes,
So
yes.
you
And
want
also, yes,
to find something that would
was
bring
comfortable.
the feet of people who have to be out there
Yes,
grinding all day long on their feet. So
exactly.
that was kind of part of the story why you
Yes, that
designed.
was part of the story, yes. Also, because I would always try to find a comfortable pair of shoes,
Yeah.
something that doesn't have to be sneaker all the time. And it was so hard to find a good quality brand that will last.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of goes together with the comfort and the grit, and it's just you being on your feet all day. And I usually work There were some days I was pulling the 16-hour shift
Uh,
because I would work my day shift and then I would help with after school programs just to help those at risk students.
right.
So that were at risk for graduating, at risk for not making it to high school, at risk for not being able to read. So I would end up working back in the days when I was a little younger, sometimes 16 plus hours.
That's
And then
great.
now my job right now, sometimes I'm there 8, sometimes 9, 10 hours.
Okay.
So it's your feet get tired after a while, and I was looking for some comfortable shoes. And I know I'm not the only one that's on my feet all day like that. So I wanted some really good quality shoes. So that's why I went with this Italian manufacturer. They're known for making the best shoes.
Just so you know that the shoes, they're really beautiful. I love them. The colors pop. They look comfortable and they're
They're very
fashion.
comfortable.
So I know you have other shoes in the collection, but you
Yes,
highlight the one with the pink and green. Um,
yes.
the clothing, the pink and green clothing. Do you also sell those, or just those are just props for?
Just props. I
Oh,
chose Think and Green first because I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated,
okay.
the first African American sorority
Yeah.
that was established in the United States. And so I chose the pink and green first on purpose intentionally.
But you're just a shoes brand for now. For now.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you. I wish you all the best with that project though. You said
thank
it's
you.
Italian. They're made in Italy, and they're
Yes,
available on the market now. You could
yes,
post your website link here after this interview so that people can go there and look at them themselves. But we are incredibly proud of you and your success
thank
in
you.
creating comfortable shoes for people who are in the profession who want their feet to be comfortable because they spend many hours on their feet. That's really a great thing. So let's look at the modeling career. Recently you seem to be drawn back into that aspect of your life, which is something you did earlier, and
Yeah.
you're thinking about it again. Tell me about that.
Well, I grew up as a teen model. When I was younger, I was a teen model, and I really enjoy. Before they were mannequins, they were freeze models, and I used to be a freeze model. And basically, I used to help companies doing the just launch their new line for the season, whatever the season was. I would be in the mall, I would be in their storefronts, and you would come on, you would showcase their new lines, and you'll stand up and pretend you weren't real, and people thought you weren't real until you moved to go change to the next garment. It was fun. So I did that when I was younger, and I also used to be a promotional model where I used to help land new talent for the company. Basically, I was able to go out and just scout to find new talent. So I really enjoy doing that, and so I also always enjoy like Fashion Week. Just knowing the different type of fashion trends that were out and available. And I was also art major in college first before I actually switched to special education. So I had a special play with colors that my art teachers always thought I should become an art therapist.
Right.
Back in the day, I had advanced placement art in high school, and everybody had advanced placement chemistry. I had advanced placement art. I love art that much, and most people that knew me thought I was going to be an artist. So I switched to special education my senior year in college. So I love the fashion, the whole everything about fashion. So that's why I'm into designing too, because it's a type of art form. So I have a great way of playing with colors. The gift and the ability that God gave me, I was able to play with colors,
Yeah,
and
it's all
so I
come
really love it.
beautifully.
I'm looking forward. Yeah, I'm currently working with a model coach, a Christian model coach,
Uh-huh,
with a group of young ladies called Christian Models Association,
uh-huh.
and we're all Christians, and we're just looking forward in this time in the season. I'll be able to use our platform just to help the world and just to be a light for Christ.
Okay. So what aspect of modeling are you trying to get into now? Is it going to
Probably
be
like catalog. I'm into catalog, maybe parts. I love dressing up and taking pictures, so at some point I would really like to go into catalog modeling, like fashion.
okay?
Um, like I say, I'm a minister, so it's going to be appropriate modeling. It won't be anything too, you know, yeah.
Feminist,
I just like dressing up and looking cute. I like the seasons, and just
We look
seasonal
forward to
trends, maybe
maybe more professional to church,
professional.
church to professional, and casual too, because
Yeah,
minister,
like casual professional. Yes,
everybody dress up at some point. So there's no
yes,
limit to that, except you won't go to the other end of the the extreme,
yes.
right?
Hmm.
Okay, so we wish you well with that as well. And
Thank you.
recently you started to sing. Um, you
Well,
actually recorded a song recently. Are you going to
well, yeah.
expand on that some more?
Sure. Well, I grew up singing actually. Growing up back home, my mom, of course, was always going to church with her and just watching her in the choirs. And I grew up singing actually in the church I grew up with here. Also, I was a part of a girls group called New Faith, which was a five-part harmony girls group. And as I got older, from high school to college, our family actually had a band called Abasi, and my sister and I would sing backup. It was like a reggae Christian band, and I used to sing backup. My sister and I sang backup for my older brother, Dean. And then we did that for years. And we actually opened up for Sizzler before once when he came to Florida. And I
Okay.
met Sizzler and Yellow Man. It was kind of cool.
That's
And
interesting.
yes. And then I grew up in the church and became a choir director when I was a youth minister. Years ago, I was a choir director for a while. And so I actually enjoy singing. But I also enjoy early childhood. I did Montessori education while I was in grad school, getting my master's at FAU.
Uh-huh.
Started Atlantic University in 2001, 2003. I worked at a Montessori school. And there I would always help the early childhood teachers with the music education part. So I love early childhood music and just working with the youth from, it was ages 2 to 5.
Agree.
So because of what's going on in the pandemic right now, a lot of children are going through emotionally and they're having a hard time processing what's going on with the different trauma, like I was explaining before. Um, Children don't really always know how to verbalize how they're feeling, and a lot of parents don't really understand what's going on. And so I created a music therapy song for children.
Oh,
It's called Good Night. So that's how this new album came about. Just something to help the youth at this time because the adults, we're dealing with the trauma in our own way right now, but we don't want to forget about the children because a lot of parents don't understand why they're acting out, but it's their way of expressing their emotions about what's going on right now. So the music therapy that I just put out, it's calming and it helps them to relax at the end of the day. So that's why I did that project.
that's wonderful. So, are you going to do more of that kind of music for kids with special needs, or just kids in general?
I'm actually praying about it because I actually write music and I've been writing for a while. And my younger brother, who's a producer, Jeff, he's been trying to get me to do some things for a while now. So there's some other things I'm thinking about, some other educational strategies, especially for math. I taught algebra and it could be a very difficult subject. So I thought about some strategies, through songs. And I'm thinking about something in the gospel area too, because,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay, great. So, guys in the group, if you're joining us, and we're sorry that we were not able to push through the broadcast on um, the new market page because it just wouldn't allow us to, and so we had to switch to the youth group, and that's fine because we're trying to speak directly to the young people in New Market. So we are okay doing it in this group. We will publish it on the other group afterwards. But I'd like you to know that it's okay for you to type your messages in the group so Delsue can answer them if you have messages. Just type it in the group. I'm seeing the group. So if you have any message, you can put it there. So I'll ask her the question. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Delsue, I'd like you to go back to your life in Jamaica, your life in New Market. What was
Yeah.
life like for you when you grew up there?
I loved it. I always say that Beersheba Basic School is my foundation. So I left Jamaica when I was 10 years old in 1987. So I remember a lot. I actually still go over the roads in my head at night sometimes. But growing up there was really fun. I was really excited when I finally got a chance to go to school because I was by myself for like 5 years until my younger brother came. And everyone was already going to school every day, and I was kind of lonely at home. And I remember they allowed me to start school at 2. I was so happy. So I actually started school at 2. So I
Oh,
was at basic school for a while. I was really excited about that. But by the time I was ready to go on too, many times I wanted to follow my siblings, but they were like, "You're still too young."
oh my God.
But I really enjoyed school
Who?
there, and I remember even when I went to the all age school, I ended up skipping the third grade, and I think I skipped the fourth grade. So they might as well have let me go early anyway. But I really had some amazing teachers, and that's I still say that's my education foundation because I learned how to read very early. And I used to remember helping some of the teachers also, even with the reading groups, when I used to go to the board and point to the other children to read the stories. You know, I remember Miss Carla used to invite me to come to her class to help the kids read, and
Right.
I just had a great time. And I think that's when my first love for teaching began at a
Yeah,
young age. Because I would help the teachers too
yeah.
because I was already ahead.
We all had that experience at Beersheba where we had to
Hmm.
teach the students who were younger. So I
Yeah,
found that a lot of us got teaching experience while we were students, and so
yeah,
we ended up naturally becoming teachers because I
yeah,
went myself. So
yeah.
when you were in basic school, who was the teachers? Or who were teachers at that time? Was it Miss Mack and Miss Dobson, or who?
Yes, Miss Mack and Miss Dobson,
Okay,
and I had Miss Dobson mostly. I saw her. I think it was last year. I went home. Yes, when I saw her last year, yeah, it was really good to see her in person.
all right.
Um, yes, and then I had Miss Buckner when I first got to all age school. I had Miss Steele, and I would help out with Miss Scarlett's class. I had skipped third grade, but I would go back to help with that class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
wonderful. I had Mrs. Steele and Mrs. Butler. Both of those persons taught me as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, so you went to Beersheba. You were brilliant. Obviously, if you started school from age 2, and you were skipping classes when you went to into the primary school system. When you came to America, what was it like for you adjusting after being in that situation, that kind of environment in Jamaica, and you came here? I'm sure it was quite different for you. How did you
Yeah.
adjust? Did you
It
skip?
was a major transition for me because I got here and they're like, "You're too young. You have to go back to elementary." Because I was getting ready to take my common entrance in Jamaica before we left,
Mhm.
and I didn't get a chance to because we left. And I know that if I passed, or when I passed, because everybody was, knew I was gonna pass. You know how they cheer you on back home,
Right,
and
right.
every time we do our assessment, I remember there was 3 of us in class that always put somebody come first, second, or third, or you come first, second, or third. We will do our little pre-exams we do on the campus. So I know I was looking forward to taking my common entrance and going on to high school, right? Because that's what you do if you pass.
Yeah.
But when I got here, they're like, "You're too young. You have to go back to elementary school." So my siblings went on to middle school, and I had to go back to elementary. But it's okay. But the language was a little different because in Jamaica we're British Standard English, and over here it was American Standard English. So I had to adjust to that for
Mhm.
a while because the pronunciation of the words, especially doing like an oral spelling test or verbal spelling test,
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow, what are they saying?" And in the English language, you have words that sound alike but are spelled different. So I had to adjust to that for a little bit because of the British Standard English that we were taught in school versus the American Standard English and the way they pronounce their A's and certain letters would be kind of confusing. But after a while, I adjusted, you
Okay.
know. But the language barrier at first was a little difficult. Even though we spoke English, our English was a little different.
You still managed to catch on, and you excelled, and you did exceedingly well. Happy to see that. Happy to hear that.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you. And you're taking it to the highest level at this point, making sure
Thank
that
you.
you don't stop until you have crossed over every barrier until you get
Yeah.
your PhD. Um, that's commendable. So, what led to your love for special ed? Because I know in order to be in special ed, you have to love it. You have to have that special thing inside of you that want to help people at that level, and you have to have the patience. I've worked in special ed, I've worked with developmental disability, so I know where you're coming from. So what caused you to like to work with that population?
Wow.
You didn't know that.
Well, it was very personal for me, and wow, I think I've only been asked that question twice, and in my life, and it was very personal for me. I had a younger brother who had a speech impediment, and I worked really well with him, and he became very successful. And I also had an older sister who had a traumatic um, brain injury situation when we were younger back home, actually. So just working with Rose and seeing her overcome her obstacles, a lot of people in our community that remember us probably would know that Rose had a special needs and situation that occurred with her, and just working with her and realizing the strategies that we used to work with her work, I was able to have faith that I can do the same for other children because she's doing an amazing job right now and she has an amazing life, and
So
it's
she
like day and night for Rose right now compared to what we knew growing up in the Caribbean.
so you nurtured her and saw her grow up to be just as normal as everybody else, have a normal life. So you knew that if we take time with people with special needs, if we put the time in, we can have better results, correct?
Yes,
And I'm happy you're able to experience that within your own household so that you knew that this is a field of work that really needs people with patience and people who have the ability to care, because it's not everybody who is cut out to do that kind of work, honestly. And you having experienced it at home was your inspiration for you to continue in that field and to be excelling in that field, because I noticed you spoke a lot of in your earlier part of the interview about what you're doing now. They surround people with disability, and I must commend you for that. There is a lot of satisfaction that comes with doing that kind of work, helping
yes,
people help themselves or look out for themselves.
I
And
am so grateful,
yeah,
yeah, for that opportunity.
sure gives you a great sense of satisfaction at the end of the day when you see what you're able to accomplish with these young people. And what if you were not there? What would have happened? Who would have helped them? How they would have done it? Because you obviously have a passion for it. um
Yes, and I'm so grateful to God for the
yeah.
opportunity because I'm a researcher also, and I give God thanks that He was able to open up opportunities where I was able to publish. My first publication has been translated into 14 different languages around the world, and it's about giving access. Um, Dr. Ann Nevin, I'm so grateful for her. She was a professor at Arizona State and a visiting professor at Florida National University, where I was on a doctoral fellowship for urban special education. And she also was able to introduce me to the action research world, and where we actually exhaust the literature about student disabilities to see what's out there in the research, and we're able to publish and present at a major conference what we found in literature and research about students with special needs. And because of that research study that we did, we're able to open up the floor where people paid attention to make sure that there's access available for individuals with disabilities.
Right.
And because of that, universities and a lot of different organizations now pay attention to making sure that everyone have access to whatever is available, including individual disabilities. So
Yeah.
I'm just really grateful for the opportunity.
Okay, great. And learning disabilities, do you do a lot of work specifically with learning disabilities?
Well, I did that for the first 14 years when I was a special education
Mhm.
teacher. But now, like I said, I'm a mental health coach. So now I'm working more in the mental health field. But I taught math, like I said, for special needs students. And most of them would have what you call variant exceptionalities, which mean that was my bachelor's in variant exceptionalities. So I taught students with a variety of different types of disabilities, and students that are autistic, you name it, students that have visual problems, hearing problems. You just never know. Whatever the disability was, those students will be in my math class.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So are you working on anything to help parents to deal with these children who have these kinds of disabilities?
I actually will provide support as a special education teacher, and also when I became a crisis intervention teacher, while I was doing the behavior interventions for students with special needs, I would also provide support for parents. So whatever behavior plans we created, so I would create behavior plans, intervention plans, and that parents could have access to, so they can also apply those same strategies at home. We would apply them on campus and share them with our staff members who also have students with disabilities in their classrooms. So I did that for 2 years. Actually, no, for 6 years I actually did that, um, where I did behavior interventions for teachers and for parents just to help them support their students. And I do have some future projects that I have coming up for students with special needs in mind. Also, when I do have the time, yes, I I did one action research before for a young man when I was at FAU in a doctoral fellowship at FIU, Florida International University. And he's been speaking to me about getting it published. I do have it, and we're considering publishing it this year. It's a young man that has speech impediment, and I basically just focused on his life in a private action research to see what a day in his life is like. What is life for an individual that has a speech impediment? So there's a project that I actually work on, and he wants to share it with the world. So I might do that first, and I also have something in mind for other individuals in the future.
Oh, nice. Wonderful.
Mhm.
Happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Anyhow, so you're a great resource person for for um, for that field, and I hope that one day you'll be able to work on some projects back there in Jamaica, in Newmarket, with with the schools there to help them and share some of your expertise with them. I
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, Delso, it's nice talking with you about what you're doing and where your life is going, and just how awesome and how wonderful it has been for you to be doing all of these things and really making a significant contribution here in the United States. I hope your life story is an inspiration to the young people who will see this recording, and I hope you will continue to do um, the work of the Lord, which is what you see this as your mission, as your
Yes.
calling to be helping the way that you are helping. I can only see you continuing to do well and to excel, and
Thank you.
I wish you all the best with that. Is there anything you have that you want to add in closing this interview? Well, I need to recognize your parents who did a phenomenal job with you,
Thank
um,
you.
and Mr. Frankson, both very humble people from the Newmarket area. What do they call the area that you lived at? Happy
Happy
Hall?
Hall. Happy
Happy,
Hall.
great. The house is still there, right?
Yes. My aunts, they're there.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
rebuilt the house, but it's still there in that same location. Yes.
Ah, right. Right there at Happy Hall, where your life began, where this beautiful story began. Your mom, she was such a great inspiration to many in the community. Um, you know, we want to thank her for raising such a brilliant young lady. Um, so, is there anything you have to say to the people in Newmarket, especially the young people who might be watching this video?
Yes. Just to encourage you to remember, one of the quotes that I remember from school that I keep with me today is remember that only your best is good enough. And I got that from our school when I was younger, and that's why people always ask me, why do you go above and beyond? Because growing up, I learned only our best is good enough.
Yeah.
So as long as you know that you're doing your best, just keep your head high and just continue to trust God and continue to put God first, because growing up, that's where my love for God began. In our community, in our schools, every morning we used to have devotion, and so we learn how to have pride in our community. We learn how to have pride in our school. Learn how to disrespect those who are in charge of you, your teachers. For those who are mentoring you, just continue to pray for them, cover them, and just continue to show them respect. And your parents who work hard, my parents work so hard, and they still do. And I'm just so grateful for the sacrifices that they made for me. Be grateful for those who come across your path and make sacrifices for you. Be grateful for those who come across your path and give you words of encouragement within the community. Because I'm telling you, I remember growing up, it was just the love, the affection from the individuals within the community that encouraged me, that made me feel so loved, made me feel so smart. Growing up, they used to always encourage me in school. Whenever we have events, the people from the community would always say, Delsue, I saw you, you did amazing. So those are our foundation, and those are the treasures that we're blessed to have, that help us to become the adults that we become in the future. And I'm just so grateful, because I always go back to St. Elizabeth when people ask me questions. I'm like, that's my foundation. St. Elizabeth is my foundation. And I'm just so grateful to God for that foundation. So just continue to trust God, and all of us have something to give the world. And just think of what role and what gifts and abilities you have, that you can help the community, to keep the community going, that you can help to give to the world. You never know where God is going to take you. One day I was in Jamaica and one day I wasn't anymore.
Yeah,
And it kind of just happened overnight. You never know where you might end up. So continue to strive for your best, and remember, only your best is good enough.
great. Thank you. Thank you, Delsue. Continue to do well. At some point, we'll catch up again in the future. We've been planning this long overdue reunion for New Market, and I hope
Thank you for having me.
coming year we will see that happen, depending on what's happening with COVID, so that we all can gather back there and have a wonderful time, and
Yes.
have more forum. I am thinking of having some kind of forum in this group for these young people, so that they
Okay.
can see more of the people from New Market, and hear their stories, and realize, so they will realize
Awesome.
that we all didn't have an easy flowing life. Some of us had struggles, but we did the best we could
Yes.
with what we had. And so, we're not the
Yes.
worse off from that.
Mhm.
God has been good to us
Yes.
and has blessed us tremendously in spite of all beginnings. So thank you, girl. Thank you
Yes.
for joining. Thank you for taking the
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you for sharing your stories. We hope it will inspire. Have a
Definitely.
good evening, and we'll talk again. Thank you, Delsu.
Take care. Have a great evening, everyone. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, guys in New Market, for listening to us. We'll be back next time on Impact for another interview with someone whose life and story may inspire you. Have a good evening. Bye.